one answer. Instinct!
Hey, I had to get off the leash. I had to get off the leash. I had to get off the leash.
It was good, YouTube. Yo, actually, this is really my first ever video on this new channel, Eternal Anime Topics. Let me sit down real quick. So, basically, as you can see in the title, basically, I'm saying basically too much. I'm really just talking about the downfall of Naruto, all the way to Boruto. You know how they got nerfed, how they just became not the characters we thought they were. Oh, and this is actually my second channel. I'm gonna need y'all to go ahead head to my What If channel. I make a anime What If channel called Eternal Sage. That's my other channel. I need y'all to go over there, subscribe to that channel and like the videos as well as this one. Really hoping this channel blows up for real. And further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the video. So basically, in the story of Naruto, we all know that Naruto basically one of the most well-known anime characters out there. It's him and the big three, but the best manga sales out of all animes, right? So everyone knows that Naruto is such a great anime, but throughout the series, it has been going downhill. You see, it all started after Sasuke defected the village. So basically, after Sasuke basically left the village, Naruto hasn't really done anything for himself anymore. His character development started to plummet because of him trying to chase down Sasuke. Even though Sasuke tried to was gonna kill this dude with a Chidori through his heart, through his chest, Naruto is chasing this nigga. My fault, y'all. Chasing Sasuke for 3 years, and even more than that. So, say Sasuke is basically whole reason the whole story is basically kind of revolving around Sasuke. After that little arc that we have, because after that Naruto, he hasn't been wanting to train for himself, to get stronger for himself anymore. After that incident, he only wanted to get stronger to try to bring back Sasuke, which he thought was his best friend, even though they didn't really get along well at all. And this is crazy to me because it's really just about him chasing down Sasuke for 3 years straight, and that's training. But that's not all. Most of the characters in the series have started to get character development, like Sakura. She became from screaming fangirl to someone who's actually pretty decent in strength. And I would say Hinata, but she's still she got a little bit of character development, right? Naruto really got all he did after the time school was basically become a little bit more mature. Not a little bit, but he became way more mature and all that type of stuff. But Naruto overall is a great anime because throughout the anime there has been many great attributes and great scenes throughout the whole series. Even in Boruto. See, basically which one should I do? Basically in Land of Snow, that arc I think it was a filler arc, but it was still a pretty great arc, whatever. Or the Pain arc. That was by far one of the best arcs ever, because in that series it showed that how much better Naruto basically is better than Sasuke and almost every other character, because Naruto in that arc basically got his sensei, his village, all his friends, his family, all of that, everyone killed or injured or something, and his village destroyed. And naturally, anyone would want to get revenge. So initially, Naruto did want to kill and murder Nagato, but after thinking about his sensei's words about peace in the world, vengeance doesn't like bring the world at peace. It doesn't accomplish anything. After you get the vengeance, what are you gonna feel? Basically, this is basically what Naruto was thinking been through in that arc. And he overcame the rage and the vengeance he wanted for everyone that was killed, and basically used his talk no jutsu and got that boy Nagato to bring everyone back alive. And let me start talking about a little bit more of the downfall. You see, after the war arc, we basically see an amped up Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke who got character development even more by getting his revenge and basically helping in the war. But after war they start fighting each other. So basically, this is how Naruto and Sasuke got nerfed. But first, I'm gonna tell you the strongest points. So first, after the war, in the war arc, after they got amped up by Sage of the Six Paths and Naruto, Chakra, Rinnegan and stuff, they basically became two of the strongest ninjas in the world, basically. And they're fighting Madara, doing a nigga something. Ten Tails Madara. It was losing, but they was winning at the same time. That's when they started becoming at their strongest, right? Because, not at their strongest because they just got the power, so they had all the time in the world to learn it. But at that time, they was kind of at their strongest. And let me tell you about all stuff, right? So basically, at that time, they were able to murk freaking meteorites that was falling from the sky. Be able to fight head to head with Madara, Ten Tails Madara, and able to steal Kaguya away, and all the other stuff they did. All the tail beasts were saying shurikens, all that type attacks. And plus, when Naruto got the power of the Sage of Six Paths, he basically got universal understanding or something like that, universal knowledge. I think. Don't quote me on that. But if he did, and he got the Ninshu, so he was basically able to got all the chakra natures, plus Yin Yang release, and from the tail beast he got boil release, lava release, and magnet release. Three of the most powerful KK Genkais in the Naruto series. One held by the third Kazekage, magnet release, and lava release held by the Mizukage, Neiterume, and boil release, who was held by five tails Jinchuriki. I don't know but those are all extremely powerful KK Genkais that help people rise to the rank of Kage. So even without the tail beast Kurama inside of him that he doesn't have now, he's still the most powerful ninja in the world. Well, one of them. And look, in Naruto basically is at his strongest in Naruto the Last, since he's basically in his prime. I think he's 20 in that movie. We see him on the moon fighting Otsutsuki with the Tensagon. what's his name? Toneri? Yeah, Toneri. And basically defeats Toneri. And like the impact that his punch had on Toneri's face when he punched him across the moon. And all the other stuff. Naruto, like I said, at that time is at his strongest point. And Sasuke, as we see him destroy a fatal meteorite with a freaking Chidori. And we see Naruto how much he improved in all his skills entirely. But then we head to this series, Boruto. This god, like this anime, so many fillers first of all. And all of the characters were nerfed heavily. Naruto and Sasuke they were still the strongest in the world. Except most of the skills they had were nerfed. They were nerfed. Because it was in your show. Most of the time, people only watch that because of Naruto and Sasuke. You see, in the series, only thing we see coming from basically Naruto in the whole show is him using Kurama's chakra and a couple like ninjutsu substitution and shadow clones, Rasengan's of course, Rasengan Shuriken and stuff. We really, and I think I might have before. We never really like see him use many ninjutsu, cause we all know that Naruto has ninjutsu basically. And in my next video, I'm basically gonna be bringing up some theories I have on Naruto's skills and like what he learned basically in my next video. So, but without that though, Naruto and Sasuke, they came from like I guess sitting around in that Hokage's chair, just nerfed him heavily because he hasn't been basically doing anything right. He even got hit by his own daughter in a Tengetsu point in his stomach. He could have easily stopped that, but instead he got like, how did he get hit? That's crazy. And that fight with Momoshiki ain't for the cap to you. That bit was raw. That fight was raw as hell. I'm not for the cap to you. But it also showed that they didn't have many techniques up their hand. Like it only showed the basic knowledge that we already had on them. Like all the stuff they did, we already know what they it was the skills that they had before, just amped up a little bit. And like the fight with Momoshiki, it was it was easy to him, right? But like not really easy, cause in that fight, right, we know that Momoshiki is one of the strongest characters in the series. He's able to destroy a star at base form. And Naruto and Sasuke were keeping up with him, actually. Naruto was in his taijutsu form. I mean, like, doing taijutsu against him is Naruto's chakra move. You know, they was going head to head. Because that fight, it didn't really show what they learned in the past 15 years after the war. Basically, that's the same thing. And all the attacks were basically amped down. Like the attack potency that the attacks had back when they were younger weren't as good as it was back, in Naruto the Last or Shippuden in the War Arc. All the attacks were just like low down, like lowered basically. And with the fight with with Jigen, see, in that fight basically, this how we know they were basically nerfed down, because in that fight they at least should have put a scratch on Jigen, because Jigen, whatever the name is, because there's no way that they weren't able to even touch it. Like Jigen basically burst it through the Susanoo and the Nine Tails chakra thing, and the Nine Tails chakra avatar thing, and basically they weren't even like doing anything. Like they were literally not like don't basically not throwing any attacks. The only thing that they used in that fight was Naruto with like some shadow clones and using a Rasengan in that Nata's chakra avatar, which basically was useless in that fight. He didn't even use like any of his like Big Bang attacks on this nigga Jigen. Like he didn't do anything. This nigga Sasuke, all he did was, basically use the sword and switch places. Maybe one Chidori in that Susanoo. That doesn't show anything. And plus the attacks that they used weren't doing any damage. Any big damage attacks. Now, if we talk about back in the day, like if they strongest in Naruto the Last, I'm pretty sure they would have been doing attack. They would have been doing damage. At least they might have still lost. But they at least would have put some type of scratches on Jigen, because there's no way. But in the fight when Naruto basically unlocked his Baryon mode, we kind of got a glimpse of some of Naruto's other moves, basically. Because, and at one time, when we know Naruto has more abilities, like, hidden. You know that he still has his Sage mode and all that good stuff, basically. But he doesn't use anything. And plus, since the world has been in peace for about 15 years after war, basically it's all the way to like 33, 34, he's been relaxed. Most of the time, he's been relaxed throughout those years. He hasn't been training as hard as he was when Shippuden, basically when they had to. There was no other choice. They were all laid back, and all the Konoha 12, easily like they like Choji. The only thing he uses is butterfly wings, chakra wings, or whatever, and stuff like that. So basically, like I'm saying, they got nerfed down after those years of peace and all of it, they basically has lost kind of some of their touch. And Hinata too, because in Naruto the Last, we seen how strong Hinata became after she got Homer's chakra. After Naruto, in his Ninetales chakra mode, got all his chakra sapped away from his body from Tomura, Hinata basically replenished all his chakra. All of it. Ninetales chakra and all. Well, not like the Ninetales chakra, but like all the chakra he had that was on him, including the Ninetales chakra. She replenished it, and she didn't look phased at all. We seen the way that she was fighting and how strong she really became. But now in Boruto, she's literally just a housewife. We haven't really seen her fight at all in Boruto. We can't conclude anything, but we can since, literally a housewife. Like, what you gonna do? Her skills have basically plummeted. You know what I'm saying? But back to like Naruto's Baryon mode. In that form, Naruto basically he got his amped up, and we all want to see what if Naruto had Baryon mode, like, but his he kept it. It wasn't the fullest form that he had. So like basically like his Naruto's chakra mode, he could have had that form Baryon mode just like that one. And we all want to see like what if he could do the Naruto's Avatar cloak with that, or all his other attacks would be amped up immensely with that form, basically, as we seen with his Rasengan. in that form, he basically got not nerfed anymore. But right after, his ass got nerfed even more than he was before. He lost Kurama, which is a heavy nerf to Naruto. And Sasuke basically lost his Rasengan to Naruto's bitch ass son, Boruto. Or Boroshiki, if you want to say it. And that's basically what happened. Right? They both got nerfed even more, but in reality, they're still one of the strongest people, two of the strongest people in the world. And maybe, just maybe, since they got their ultimate strengths nerfed or taken away, maybe you can see more of their skills actually, and not like the powers that they were given like Naruto and Rinnegan. Maybe we can see more of their taijutsu, their ninjutsu, their genjutsu. Maybe we can see more of their actual skills instead of their basically just speed, strength, and all the abilities that we already knew they had. And that's basically what I'm basically saying in this what if. I mean, not what if. I'm thinking of my other channel in this video, and how Boruto was basically the biggest downfall of the Naruto series, since Boruto isn't really the most well-liked character of Naruto characters. His series, there's some good attributes to it, but most of the time there isn't, since it's mostly just filler episodes, and there's not really action within the series. It's just showing their life a little bit, and most of the time it's boring. I'm saying, we went from Naruto on a 7th episode, fighting people like Zabuza and Haku. Well, in 7th episode, Boruto, he kissed. I think he kissed somebody or something. I don't know, but it's boring. Basically, there's nothing, no action. Even if it is, it isn't really too impressive. But guys, with that, I'm gonna really just conclude this this anime review or downfall video. And, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and say, basically like the video, subscribe, and go subscribe to my other YouTube channel, my main Eternal Sage, and go watch the what ifs. I just made a what if Deku had infinite quirks, so go check that out. With that, peace.